If you've ever felt like you're the one always chasing, always proving, always trying harder, listen carefully. Because the moment you stop doing this one thing wrong is the moment everything changes. Most men think attraction is built by effort. More texts, more compliments, more availability, more reassurance. They believe if they just show her how much they care, she'll finally lean in. But here's the truth. Most people never tell you, chasing kills curiosity. And without curiosity, attraction suffocates. Human psychology is wired around uncertainty and value. When something feels rare, self-contained, and emotionally grounded, the mind pays attention. When something feels overly available, overly eager, or dependent on validation, the mind relaxes. And relaxed interest slowly turns into indifference. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional physics. Women, especially emotionally intelligent women, are highly attuned to emotional energy. They can feel when a man is centered versus when he's seeking approval. They can sense when his life is full versus when she is the only source of excitement in it. And here's the part that might sting. The more you make her the center of your emotional world too quickly, the less she feels drawn to step into it. Attraction thrives in space. When a man has purpose, direction, discipline, and boundaries, not as a performance, but as a lifestyle, he becomes magnetic. Not because he's ignoring her, not because he's playing games, but because he doesn't need her to feel complete. Neediness whispers, wholeness commands. The one thing that changes everything is this: detach from the outcome. When you detach from whether she chooses you, something powerful happens. Your tone shifts, your body language shifts, your patience shifts. You stop over-explaining. You stop over-texting. You stop trying to manage her perception of you. And suddenly, you become emotionally unpredictable in the healthiest way. Detachment is not coldness. It's confidence without desperation. A woman doesn't chase a man who chases her approval. She chases the man who is comfortable walking away if alignment isn't there. Because walking away signals self-respect, and self-respect signals value. Think about it. The people you admire most are not begging to be chosen. They're selective, they're grounded, they don't rush intimacy, they don't overgive to prove worth, they observe, they assess, they allow connection to unfold instead of forcing it. When you shift from how do I keep her to is she aligned with my life, you regain power. And power, when held calmly, is incredibly attractive. Most men fear detachment because they think it means losing her. But clinging is what actually loses her. Over-pursuing creates imbalance, and imbalance creates pressure, and pressure quietly pushes her away. When you detach from outcome, you stop reacting emotionally to every delay in her response. You stop overanalyzing tone. You stop adjusting yourself to maintain attention. You stay steady, and steadiness is rare. In a world full of emotional volatility, the person who remains grounded becomes the prize. Women don't chase noise. They chase certainty wrapped in mystery. They chase emotional strength that doesn't crack under silence. They chase the man who values himself enough to let her choose freely, without pressure. So the question is simple. Are you trying to be chosen, or are you becoming someone worth choosing? Let's go deeper, because detachment only works when it's real. You can't pretend not to care while obsessing internally. Women sense incongruence instantly. If your words say, "I'm relaxed," but your energy screams, "Please don't leave," the disconnect will quietly erode attraction. Real detachment is internal alignment. It's waking up knowing that your life moves forward with or without her. It's having goals that demand your focus. It's having standards that protect your time. It's having options, not necessarily other women, but options in life. Growth, purpose, direction. When a woman feels that she's joining your journey instead of becoming your entire journey, she feels safe leaning in. Most men make a subtle mistake early on. They overinvest emotionally before she has earned that level of access. They text all day, they cancel plans, they reveal every vulnerability immediately. They put her on a pedestal before she has demonstrated consistency. And when you overinvest too soon, two things happen. First, you remove the mystery. Second, you create pressure. Psychologically, attraction builds through progressive discovery. It's like opening chapters of a book. If you hand someone the entire story in one sitting, there's no anticipation left, and anticipation is fuel. This is why the man who is calm, slightly reserved, and focused often triggers more curiosity than the man who is constantly available. It's not about being distant, it's about pacing. When you allow her to wonder what you're doing, what you're thinking, what your next move is, you activate her imagination. And imagination is powerful. The human mind fills in gaps with fascination. But here's where men misunderstand this dynamic. Detachment doesn't mean disappearing, it means engaging without losing yourself. You respond, but you don't hover. You show interest, but you don't overcommit. You listen, but you don't chase reassurance. And when she pulls back slightly, as many people naturally do to assess interest, you don't panic. You don't double text. You don't suddenly intensify effort to regain control. You stay steady. That steadiness communicates something deeper than words ever could. I value myself enough not to force what isn't flowing. For many women, especially emotionally mature ones, that energy is rare. They're used to men reacting, overcompensating, trying to win, trying to convince. When you don't fall into that pattern, you stand out, because now she has space to move toward you. And here's the truth that might change how you see everything. Attraction often grows strongest when she feels she might lose access to you. Not because you threaten to leave, not because you play games, but because you genuinely would walk away from misalignment. Scarcity increases perceived value. This is true in business, it's true in art, and it's true in relationships. When your time is limited because your life is full, she feels it. When your attention isn't guaranteed, but earned, she respects it. When your emotional stability isn't shaken by minor distance, she trusts it. Women chase the man who feels like a choice, not a dependency. So instead of asking, how do I make her like me more? Ask, am I living in a way that makes my presence valuable? Because the man who builds himself quietly becomes impossible to ignore. And when you reach that point, something shifts. She doesn't feel chased, she feels drawn, and there's a massive psychological difference between the two. Now here's where most people sabotage themselves. Even after they understand detachment, they detach, but they don't develop. And without growth, detachment becomes emptiness instead of strength. Listen carefully. Women don't chase absence. They chase presence with substance. If you pull back, but there's nothing compelling about your life, nothing emotionally grounded about your character, nothing disciplined about your habits, she won't feel intrigue. She'll feel relief. The one thing isn't silence. It isn't distance. It isn't mystery alone. It's self-containment. Self-containment means you regulate your emotions. You don't let mood swings dictate your behavior. You don't make her responsible for your happiness. You don't collapse when plans change. You don't become cold when you feel insecure. You stay composed. Emotional regulation is one of the most attractive traits across cultures. USA, UK, Canada, anywhere. Because stability feels safe, and safety allows desire to grow instead of defend. When you're self-contained, you don't overshare to fast-track intimacy. You allow trust to build in layers. You don't interrogate her about where things are going after one good week. You let consistency reveal intent. This does something powerful psychologically. It removes pressure. Pressure suffocates attraction faster than rejection ever could. When someone feels responsible for your emotional state, their nervous system goes into defense mode. And when someone is in defense mode, they cannot feel romance deeply. But when you are emotionally self-sufficient, something shifts inside her. She can relax, she can choose, she can lean in because she doesn't feel trapped by your expectations. This is where women begin to invest. They start texting first. They start asking about your schedule. They start wondering who else has access to you. They start thinking about where they fit in your world. Not because you demanded effort, but because you created space for it. And here's a truth most people don't talk about. Women are biologically and psychologically wired to respond to emotional leadership. Not dominance, not control. Leadership. Leadership means you set the tone. If something bothers you, you address it calmly. If something doesn't align, you communicate it without hostility. If something feels good, you express it without exaggeration. You are centered. When she sees that you don't crumble under small tests, delayed replies, slight shifts in tone, temporary distance, she registers strength. And strength is deeply attractive. But here's the part that separates men who understand psychology from those who just repeat advice. You must genuinely be okay with losing her, not pretending, not threatening, not posturing, genuinely okay. Because the moment you need her more than you want her, your energy shifts, your boundaries soften, your standards lower, your frame collapses. And women feel that shift instantly. But when you want her, while knowing your life remains powerful without her, you radiate calm authority. She feels chosen, not needed. And being chosen is intoxicating. So the question becomes uncomfortable but necessary. If she walked away tomorrow, would your identity remain intact? Or have you slowly built your emotional world around her responses? The man who can answer that honestly and fix what's weak becomes the man women chase not out of pressure, but out of desire. There's one final layer most people never reach, and this is where everything locks into place. When you detach from outcome, build real substance, and regulate your emotions, you stop trying to impress, and you start filtering. That shift changes the entire dynamic. Instead of asking, how do I keep her interested? You begin asking, does she bring peace into my life? Does she respect my time? Does she align with my values? The moment you start evaluating instead of performing, your posture changes. Your voice slows down. Your decisions sharpen. You no longer rush to secure commitment. You observe behavior. You watch consistency. You allow actions to speak. And here's what happens psychologically. When a woman senses that she is being evaluated, not judged, not criticized, but calmly assessed for alignment, attraction often intensifies. Because now she feels the possibility of earning a place in your world. People value what they invest in. If she is always the prize and you are always proving, the balance tilts. But when she feels that your attention, your commitment, your exclusivity are selective, something powerful awakens inside her. Respect. And respect fuels long-term attraction more than chemistry ever will. This is why the one thing is not a tactic. It's a standard. Detachment from outcome forces you to operate from abundance rather than fear. It forces you to build a life you're proud of. It forces you to communicate calmly. It forces you to walk away from inconsistency instead of tolerating it. And when you live like that consistently, something subtle but undeniable happens. You become rare. Most people operate from anxiety. They rush connections, they chase validation, they overextend to avoid being alone. So when someone shows up grounded, patient, and selective, it disrupts the pattern. Disruption creates curiosity. Curiosity creates pursuit. But here's the balance you must never forget. Detachment without warmth becomes coldness. Standards without empathy become arrogance. Strength without kindness becomes isolation. The man women chase forever is not emotionally unavailable. He is emotionally available, but not emotionally dependent. He laughs easily, he listens deeply, he plans intentionally, he protects his peace, he gives affection freely when it's reciprocated, and he withdraws gracefully when it's not. No drama, no ultimatums, no resentment, just clarity. And clarity is powerful, because when a woman feels safe, respected, intrigued, and slightly uncertain about fully securing you, she invests. She reaches out, she wonders, she moves closer, not because you forced her to, but because she wants to. That's the difference between chasing and choosing. So now let me ask you something personal. Be honest with yourself before you answer. Are you building a life so grounded and self-respecting that someone would fear losing access to you, or are you quietly afraid of losing them? If this resonated with you, drop your answer in the comments. I read them. Like this video if you value truth over tactics. Subscribe if you're ready to master yourself, not just attraction. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes the difference between being chased and being forgotten is one internal shift.